What's up, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. In this video, I'm going to be going over some updates for Bitcoin, but to go ahead and get it started here, first off on this 4-hour chart, which I posted this briefly on the community tab not too long ago, but those of you who've been keeping up with this channel, this bull flag channel here on this 4-hour chart that I've been going over, we can see this pink resistance that I had been noting. Bitcoin from the local low around 57K moved up to the median. You can see here the yellow dotted line, found resistance at 64.8, approximately 64.8 thousand. Then Bitcoin came down and just bobbed and weaved, dipped minorly below this descending pink, what was resistance. So far been flipped in support. Bitcoin then broke the median of the bull flag channel, came down, saw a wick down to retest. So far continues to kind of waver upwards until we've seen this quick move up here recently for Bitcoin up to around approximately 72,000. So far, closing about two 4-hour candles above this resistance. Now, looking at just this 4-hour chart, it's totally possible that we see Bitcoin dip down to somewhere around 65.6 to 60, around 67.5, which I've been mentioning 66.5 to 67.5 thousand for the last number of videos, pointing out how important that is going to be. So far Bitcoin's seen support there, but I totally think it's possible we could see Bitcoin come down and test that, which would roughly line up with where around the 200 EMA wide estimated moving average right here, with the 50 EMA and its band estimated moving average within this range. Again, so far this is 64.2 to around 66.5, so I totally think it's possible to see Bitcoin retrace down to those levels as well. If we look here on the daily, we see this broadening ascending channel, and we see the daily bull flag channel where, again, we have this minor fake out. Going back to it, I was saying best case scenario, this will end up being a fake out. So far this seems to be what it is. Bitcoin has come up back into the channel, came back down, found support right here at around 60.5K around May 11th. So far, again, Bitcoin, we've seen it pump up. We've seen one daily close above the bull flag channel so far. 19 hours left approximately in the current daily candle, with the price sitting at approximately candle high around 71.2 thousand. Again, like I said, totally possible. We see Bitcoin come down and test around the 65. Going back to the 4-hour chart, I mean, the 200 EMA, like I said, sits at around 64.3K. So, I mean, that would take Bitcoin somewhere down to around right here. So I definitely think it's possible. Again, see Bitcoin come down to this range right here, just in general, right in here. If we zoom in, we can see that there's a small vector zone going down to 62 to 63K, and then this most recent one, which is a part of the candle we closed above. Bitcoin closed above this bull flag channel, 67.5 to 66.5, so the exact range that I had been mentioning. At this point, I don't think it's, unless Bitcoin's going to continue to go significantly lower, down to around approximately 40%. I don't think it's too likely that Bitcoin will come down to around 62 to 63K, rather than what I've been saying, 66.5 to 67.5. And it's also totally possible that this pump we see here on the 4-hour and on the daily is not over yet. Let's say if we look here at this 4-hour chart, Bitcoin has seen this move up, comes down, sits here for, whatever, some period of time, but ultimately finds resistance along, or not resistance, it finds support along what has been resistance. And ultimately we'll see Bitcoin come down and continue to shoot up even higher to some value, ultimately best case scenario above 73K. Then I think it's, at that point, I would be more inclined to believe that Bitcoin is just going to continue to go up rather than come down and perhaps retest 66.5 to 67.5. Let's say if it goes any higher, then it's more likely to just continue to go up, assuming this bull flag pattern plays out and the bullishness of Bitcoin so far continues to play out. But there is plenty of reason. Again, we have a yellow vector candle printed towards the highs here to see, like I said, Bitcoin going down to these ranges that I've been mentioning, down to around maybe 64.5 thousand approximately. again, I just wanted to point out, if we look down here at this MACD, we still see this rough range right here, denoted by the red or orangish looking lines down here. So far this range, and I'll actually go ahead and add another line just to encompass for a deeper pullback towards the downside here. In this general red range, for the most part, like I've been saying, going back to 15.4 thousand, we see this upper range right here every single time Bitcoin bounced in it. And then we set this slightly lower low for the MACD. There's a minor deviation below it. So far, Bitcoin seems to be, in my personal opinion, initiating the next drastic leg towards the upside. Which leads me into this 4-day chart. Again, this is one of the charts I posted on the community tab update not too long ago. So we are seeing here Bitcoin on the 4-hour, or the 4-day rather. With this being the best bull flag that I feel like I can point out in the charts so far. On the 4-day, we see one candle so far is closed above, similar to the daily at this point. Again, so this 4-day candle sitting around 68.7 at this point. So far, we see this horizontal yellow zone of the all-time highs going back to this double top from 64 to 69K holding through. As I was mentioning and pointing out, we see this ascending trend zone right here that I pointed out in previous videos, also in a confluential manner, acting as support for Bitcoin. Now, if you zoom in here to the price range, generally going back to before when I felt confident enough that I was actually seeing, at the very least, more likely than not, a bull flag in the charts, I was just saying roughly around 90 to 130K is where I think Bitcoin will go whenever it does see the next leg up, given that I do think Bitcoin is in a bull market and still has some degree higher to go, especially towards the 6 digits. Now, this upper price target leading into around approximately 110, 112K for Bitcoin is using the logarithmic chart, and then this lower price chart or price target is taking Bitcoin to around 90, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94,000, which this pertains to if I were to switch it to the logarithmic chart. This is the lower bound. So the regular chart gives a price target of around 90 to 95K, and then the logarithmic chart gives a price range, or a price target rather, of around 110 to 112K, so 92, 112K. And then we still have this 2.14 right here, depending upon when Bitcoin is going to make this upcoming local high. So I do think the upcoming high will be a local high rather than the all-time high. We could see this 2.14 push in 120, 122, so somewhat close to 130K, still ultimately kind of, around 70-80% fulfilling 90 to 130K, especially if it were to go up to as high as around 120, 125K in this next leg up. If we look here at the MACD, we can see, similar to this move back here, when the MACD swung towards the downside towards the end of January this year, we see this median being met right here. We roughly, at the very least, not necessarily in these 2 points right here, these 2 local lows coming down to meet it, but coming very close, as we saw Bitcoin trading in this, very, very roughly symmetrical, this triangular-esque pattern that I had been pointing out. Looks better than I have it on here than as I showed it in last charts in the past. But ultimately, what I was saying is we were seeing this triangular convergence towards a point. Bitcoin will set it slow. It's going to come up. It will flip this 0 point. So far, it's done that. Right now, it's holding it. And I do think ultimately the bounce will be met here at this 0 point, which, again, just to reiterate, is finding confluence with this ascending support / resistance zone in the horizontal range, which encompasses the prior double top 64 to 69K for Bitcoin. Plenty of technical reasons for something at the very least big to happen, whether or not we're seeing maybe there's not a bull flag here on the price chart, or maybe there is and we're seeing a fake out, and ultimately Bitcoin's going to go down lower to around approximately 50 to 55K, as I've been mentioning in a number of videos going back to at very least a month, maybe even longer, about how approximately 50 to 55K is my personal bottom of the barrel for a healthy retracement in a Bitcoin bull market, assuming that is what we're in, which I believe at this point it's fairly discernible that is what Bitcoin is in and has been in since 15.4 thousand. But finally moving into this last chart on the 2-weekly, I've been updating this in the last number of videos. What I wanted to point out mainly is this being the 2-weekly chart. We can see here, especially if Bitcoin continues to go higher, we'll likely close candles higher here, and we'll see a ascending support, or my bad, an ascending resistance. Bitcoin continues to go higher, but so far there's potential here for this MACD to form a bearish divergence, which could bring Bitcoin lower, like I said, maybe to 50 to 55K. And ultimately, this is just some trading sideways that Bitcoin has been doing, and it's going to see a quick move towards the downside to 50 to 55K. And then if this were to happen, then I would think more likely than not a V-shaped recovery would be in place, seeing a dip down around 50 to 55K, and Bitcoin would quickly recover rather than seeing a slow recovery. But also, just because there could potentially, it's not really solidified, it's definitely not solidified in stone yet that there is a genuine bearish divergence here, but there's potential for it to be forming. Not only do we see it on the RSI, but it could potentially stock RSI as well, this MACD, even the RBI as well. So we could potentially see this be forming. Although I think what's more likely than not, what is most likely is that this isn't actually a genuine bearish divergence forming that will take Bitcoin to 50 to 55K, but is rather just the fact that we have not seen Bitcoin see its next leg up, which would likely take the RSI higher and validating the bearish divergence, and then similar to follow in suit for the other indicators that I mentioned, such as the stock RSI, etc. But outside of that, that was really all that I wanted to go over. So all that being said, hopefully enjoyed. Once again, none of this is meant to be financial advice, but I hope you all have a wonderful day.